The game may be over, but the story is far from finished. Welcome to Tangled Games, Part 4, the gripping continuation of K.Leigh's best-selling dating game series, where love is messy, healing is hard, and the most powerful truths are found in the most vulnerable moments. After everything Harley and Easton have been through, every twist, every secret, every stolen moment, they're finally on the other side of the chaos. But real life doesn't stop when the credits roll. Now they must face what comes after the happily ever after. In this deeply emotional and intimate chapter, K.Leigh explores what it really means to fight for love when the spotlight fades and reality sets in, with raw honesty, heartfelt passion, and her signature blend of romance and real-world complexity. This audiobook peels back the layers of a love story that refuses to play by the rules. If you've been with Harley and Easton from the beginning, Part 4 is your chance to experience their most personal, powerful chapter, yet a celebration of love, resilience, and the courage to choose each other every single day. Press play and prepare for a story that proves sometimes the greatest love isn't found in the game, it's in what comes after. Chapter 23. Nora. Why am I so nervous about this? I glance at Esme as she expertly applies some liner around my lips. As I stare at the drawers upon drawers filled with more makeup than most people think necessary to own in a lifetime, I can't help but be impressed. I always considered myself fairly experienced with hair and makeup, but my skills are no match for hers. After all the people who worked on me for the official engagement announcement, not to mention a stylist who helps me pick out my wardrobe and get ready every day, I assumed she also had someone to do it for her. Instead, she told me she learned how so she could have time to herself before being put on display. To most, it would seem a crazy notion, since so many women look forward to being pampered at the salon, myself included. But that was before I had a taste of this life, of always having people do everything for me, right down to helping me dress and undress, as if I'm a child, not an adult capable of taking care of myself. Now, her expertise has allowed me to escape the estate to get ready for my date with Anderson, or, more appropriately, Prince Gabriel. I think it's cute. He's nervous, too. She winks, stepping back and spinning me so I face the mirror. I felt completely out of my element when choosing what to wear, unsure where he planned to take me. He didn't give me much direction, aside from not wearing any panties. I debated whether to go with something casual, but considering he's taking me out as Prince Gabriel, I opted for something a bit more formal. It's not at the level of the dress I wore for the official announcement, but it's still sophisticated, yet something not in my approved wardrobe, something I brought with me from New York. I'm fairly certain the sleek, curve-hugging black dress would break all protocol rules. From the off-the-shoulders neckline that makes my cleavage appear even more pronounced, to the slit running up my thigh, to the leopard print strappy heels that show off my bright red toenails. It is most definitely not royal family approved. But like Anderson, Prince Gabriel said last night, "Fuck the rules." When a chiming cuts through, my pulse skyrockets, butterflies flittering in my stomach. "Sounds like your date's here," Esme teases in a sing-song voice, spinning from me. I follow her out of the dressing room, down the hallway, and toward the stairs leading to the foyer. Hand on the railing, I do my best to keep myself from tripping over my own feet, something that's been known to happen. With every step I take, more and more of Anderson's tall frame appears, starting with his dark shoes, up to his perfectly tailored tan pants, then his matching suit jacket. I expect the look to be finished with a crisp, white button-down shirt and coordinating tie, similar to what he typically wears. Instead, he's sporting a V-neck, black t-shirt, his chest muscles prominent against the material, like he wore during our time together on Route 66. It's a reminder that, despite his public persona as Prince Gabriel, underneath all the glitz and glamour is the man I fell in love with. When our eyes meet, I can't look away, just like I couldn't when I heard a deep, accented voice tell me to rub Lincoln's nose for good luck as I stared at the bronze bust outside the final resting place of the 16th president. Lips parted. He barely blinks as he drinks me in. He starts at my feet, my toes grateful to finally see the light of day after being covered up these past several weeks. His gaze only grows more heated as it travels up my legs, jaw tightening. When his eyes return to mine, they're no longer a mixture of every shade of blue, but a dark midnight, raw hunger swirling within. God damn, am I a lucky bastard? He hisses under his breath. And don't you forget it, I respond with a nervous laugh. Never. His stare lingers on me in a way that makes me think he's about to pin me up against the wall and kiss me, much like he did the first night we slept together. But he doesn't. There's time for that later, though. He clears his throat, briefly looking away. I know most men bring flowers on a first date, but I'm not most men. You don't say. He flashes a brilliant smile, the white of his teeth bright against his tanned complexion. So while I don't have any real flowers for you, I do have something I hope you'll find just as acceptable. He reaches into his jacket and produces a small, black velvet box. Anders. I begin. Gabriel. He reminds me. Of course, I nod, playing along, Gabriel. At one time, the name felt foreign on my tongue, the man in front of me not resembling a Gabriel. But in this moment, I actually see the crown prince and future king. But that's not all I see. Mixed within the pieces of the man who will one day rule this country, I still see bits of Anderson, more than I have recently. You didn't have to get me anything, I admonish, as I always do whenever he spoils me with something he just couldn't resist buying. I know, but I still wanted to do something for you, a token of my appreciation. He extends the box toward me. When I pop it open, my hand flies to my chest. All the air is ripped from my lungs as I stare at what I can only assume to be Prince Gabriel's version of buying flowers for his date. Technically, they are flowers, but instead of something that will wither and die in a few days, it's something I can keep forever, a pair of earrings in the shape of a flower. That's a yellow diamond in the center with 5 pear-shaped diamonds around it. Total weight of each is about a carat. They're gorgeous. I bet they'll be even more gorgeous on you. May I? He extends his hand again. I nod, passing him the box before quickly removing the simple diamond studs I'd been wearing. He takes them from me and drops them into the inside pocket of his suit jacket. Then he steers me toward the large mirror in the foyer of Esme's townhouse. There's something inherently intimate about watching our reflection as Anderson secures the earrings to each ear. Once he's finished, he stands back to appreciate them, his hands on my shoulders. I cover one of his hands with mine, squeezing. Thank you. Anything for you. Gorgeous. He holds my gaze in the mirror for a beat, then releases me. What do you say we get this date started? He offers me his elbow. I face him and hook my arm through his. I'd love to. Have fun. Kids, Esme calls after us as we walk toward the door. I stop abruptly. I'd forgotten she stood just a few feet away. That always seems to happen whenever I'm around Anderson. And now Prince Gabriel, too. Excusing myself, I rush to Esme and hug her. Thank you. I only did your hair and makeup. I pull back and shake my head. No, you did a lot more than that. She holds me at arm's length, squeezing my biceps. You both deserve to be happy. If you'd both just get out of your own way every once in a while. Now go. Enjoy your fairy tale. And come midnight, neither one of you better turn into a bloody pumpkin, or you'll have me to answer to. We won't. Promise. I give her one last hug, then allow Anderson to lead me down her front steps and into the back seat of the idling SUV. Once I'm situated and Creed pulls away, that same nervous energy returns, a heat caressing my skin. As I steal a glance at Anderson, I know exactly what's causing it. His eyes flame as his gaze rakes over me, exploring, craving. The hair on the back of my nape stands on end, my pulse picking up with each longing stare. Did you do as I asked? His voice is low and seductive. What's that? I squeak out. He glances at my legs and leans toward me. His hand caresses my flesh, starting above my knee and leisurely moving higher before disappearing up my slit. His breath heats my neck, my libido screaming at him to keep going and not stop until he touches me between my thighs. The poor girl's been quite neglected these past few weeks. Did you wear any panties? He murmurs. I close my eyes, my breathing becoming more ragged with every inch his fingers creep toward my center. Swallowing down a moan, I curve into him, a little farther, and you can find out for yourself. He pinches his lips together. True. He moves his hand farther north, then suddenly retreats. But not yet. No. He slowly shakes his head. No. Then when soon? And don't worry. I plan on making the wait worth your while. Love, you'd better. I cross my arms over my chest, because my libido is in rare form tonight. Is that right? She's had a bit of a dry spell lately. Let's see what we can do about putting an end to that sooner rather than later. I bite my bottom lip. I like the sound of that. After a short drive filled with sexual tension, Creed pulls up in front of a restaurant. When I notice the paparazzi already waiting, I assume he'll continue around to the back. He doesn't, though. I look toward Anderson, a single brow raised. Part of dating a prince is cameras and paparazzi following us. Since I've had a penchant for breaking the rules lately, I figured I'd break one more, instead of waiting for the paparazzi to find me, as they always do. I had my people tell them where I am, so my security team could control the situation from the beginning. See? He nods out the window. Police barricades are set up, much like at pre-planned engagements. It's a marked difference from the last time I'd encountered the paparazzi. There's no frenzy of people shouting and grabbing. It's orderly, manageable, safe. Better to take control of the situation before it controls you. Now, shall we create some headlines? I look from the crowd and back to Anderson, my mouth growing dry. I thought we'd go somewhere private where no one would be able to see us. But to walk through the front entrance of a restaurant where there are actual diners, to do something normal people do, this is exactly what I need. What I've needed since I first landed in this country and my life was turned upside down. Absolutely. Good. When Creed opens the door, Anderson steps out to a chorus of cheers and camera flashes. He buttons his suit jacket, giving a quick wave to the crowd before turning back toward the car, offering me his hand. I slide across the seat, praying this isn't a repeat of the night we were chased from Esme's dinner party. After the past few weeks, I'm not exactly in the mood for a bunch of jealous girls to point out every single of one of my imperfections and tell me all the reasons Caroline DeVries is better suited for Anderson, especially after my unexpected phone call from my mother yesterday. But like Anderson said, this is part of dating Prince Gabriel. That's what I wanted, and that's precisely what he's giving me. On a deep inhale, I carefully step out of the SUV. The instant my feet hit the pavement, the camera flashes increase, people shouting my name. But that's not all. They're begging Anderson to kiss me like he did yesterday, a few photos having made the rounds on social media, much to my publicist's chagrin. Anderson smirks, playfully waggling his brows. What do you say? Love, should we give them what they want? I place my hand on his chest, tilting my head back. I wouldn't want to disappoint your adoring fans. See, that's where you're wrong. He yanks my body against his, lips descending toward me. The cheers grow louder with every inch he erases. They're your adoring fans now, too. As his mouth covers mine, cheers and applause echo around us, cameras clicking even more hurriedly in an attempt to capture the perfect shot of our kiss. The evening's barely begun, yet there's no doubt in my mind. This is the perfect date with a prince. Chapter 24. Nora. What is this place? I ask later. Tea-hat evening, when Creed pulls the SUV in front of a 3-story, industrial-looking brick building. Not a soul in sight. The only sound that of the occasional dog barking and the lapping of ocean waves in the distance, indicating we must be somewhere near the water's edge. "You'll see," Anderson answers with a devilish smirk. "It's where you hide the bodies." "Right," I joke. "This whole prince thing is just a front. A way to lure unsuspecting young women to your lair." He leans toward me, midnight blue eyes undressing me. "You figured out my secret. Although the only woman I hope to lure to my lair is you. Gorgeous." He winks as Creed opens my door. Once my feet hit the cracked sidewalk, I look up at the building. It's a complete 180 from the picture of perfection of Anderson's estate and the palace. Not somewhere I'd ever imagine him spending any meaningful time, or bringing a date. After the extravagant 5-course dinner that oozed with sophistication and romance, I expected more of that, not to end up in an area of town that's more akin to Jersey City than Central Park West. "This way." He places his hand on the small of my back and steers me toward a large metal door. After punching a code into the keypad, the door buzzes. A musky, woodsy scent surrounds me as I warily step into what appears to be a vast, empty space. The only light comes from the full moon shining in through rain-spotted, grimy windows. Anderson takes my hand in his, leading me to the far corner of the room. Despite the relative darkness, he seems to know precisely where he's going, as if he can navigate this path blindfolded. When we approach a pair of gated doors, he opens them, revealing a cage-like elevator. I've seen rickety elevators like this in the movies, and it never ended well for the woman who stupidly got in it. "Come on, live a little." He waggles his brows as he pulls me inside, then tugs the door closed. After he presses a few buttons, it starts with a jolt, moving at a languid pace. "Where are we?" I press once more. "I told you." He erases the distance, pinning me against the wall. "I'm bringing you back to my secret lair." "Is that right?" I reply in a sultry voice. Throughout the night, there's been a flirtatious vibe between us, even more so than usual. Probably because it's been so long since we've been intimate, both of us ready to snap at any moment. But despite the fact Anderson insisted on sitting as close to me as possible during dinner, he's barely touched me, leaving me squirming. The anticipation is driving me mad. "You're about to find out." The elevator comes to a stop, but he doesn't retreat, his gaze searing into me, warming me from the inside out. "Aren't we going to get off?" I ask in a shaky voice. His eyes flame in the darkness, jaw clenching. Then he nuzzles the crook of my neck as he grinds his hips against me. God, I really fucking hope so. You have no idea how badly I need to get off. I think I do. I run my hand through his hair, pulling him closer. I've been on edge all night long. He pulls back. "Any reason for that?" "You know the reason for that." "Do I?" He counters, feigning innocence. "You're the one who told me not to wear any panties, then barely laid a hand on me all night." His conniving grin returns as he rakes his gaze down my body. In my experience, delayed gratification can be quite pleasurable and sadistic. I retort. "Trust me, love. I'll make it worth your while." Winking. He opens the cage door and steps into yet another dark space. I take a moment to compose myself, drawing in a shaky breath to calm my raging hormones. Everything about tonight has been perfect. From going out in public as Prince Gabriel's fiancée, to the amazing dinner, to the even more amazing conversation as Anderson and I reconnected after weeks of being torn in 2 different directions. But right now, I don't want to be wined and dined. I don't want to be romanced. I want Anderson, more than I think I ever have. "Welcome to my secret lair," he says once I step off the elevator, or, as I like to refer to it, my studio. He flicks a switch on the wall, bathing everything in light. Pipes and beams run the length of the ceiling, the walls exposed brick. A variety of different light stands have been arranged in the corner, as well as cables and a few fans. Framed prints and canvases are interspersed throughout, some on easels, some hanging on the walls. From what I know of Anderson's style, they're all his work. You have a studio, I do. Why isn't it at your house? You have enough space there. Because sometimes you need an escape. Esme's cooking is hers. This is mine, where I come when things get to be too much, when I need to feel. He trails off, searching for the right word. Normal. I finish his statement. Exactly. He pushes a strand of hair behind my ear. When I need to feel normal. Who knows about this? I pull away from him and continue into the room, studying the photographs. Just Esme and Creed, and now you. This is a part of myself I don't share with many people, but I want you to know this side of me. Give you another peek into who I am. He gazes around the dimly lit space. There are a lot of pieces of me sprinkled around here. I survey the various images. If I know anything about Anderson, I'd assume each of the photos he chose to display here holds a special place in his heart, has a deep meaning for him. When did you take this? I move toward a mostly black and white image on canvas. The only color is a red balloon against a cloudy sky. A young, blonde girl standing on the beach watching it float away. There's a sadness in its simplicity that draws me to it. Is it recent? I glance over my shoulder as he approaches. Actually, no. That was the first photo I'd ever taken, at least with a professional camera and using some of the techniques my instructor taught me. That's Esme. Esme. I whip my attention back to the canvas, squinting. But this girl, she couldn't have been more than 7 or 8. 7. You started learning photography at 8. My therapist thought it would be good for me. I remember you telling me that. I assumed, well, I guess once I learned who you were and that your girlfriend had passed away unexpectedly, you assumed my therapist suggested it as a coping mechanism after Kendall's death. Yeah, it was to cope with. Well, he waves a hand around. All of this, I suppose. Going from a nobody to suddenly being on everyone's radar, being chased by paparazzi at only 8 years of age, coming to terms with the fact that my life was no longer my own. I study him, my heart aching for the little boy who had to grow up overnight. I may not have had the best mother, but I was still able to be a child. He was deprived of that. Did it help photography? I mean, it did. Knowing that I had photography, had this hobby, it was, and still is, something that's just for me. A part of me the rest of the world doesn't get. I'm probably not making any sense, but I place my hand on his cheek, and he lifts his gaze to me. You make perfect sense. I understand now. Prince Gabriel's more a mask than a person. Something you need to don to protect yourself from everything that goes along with the job. He smiles sadly as he nods. And you'll have to do the same. You'll have to be a different person when you're in public. You can still give them parts of you. Don't have to be this uncaring machine, but if you give them all of you, there will be nothing left for me. His Adam's apple bobs in a hard swallow. Worse, there will be nothing left for you. Eyes impassioned. He grips my cheeks so I'm unable to escape, unable to avoid this conversation, forced to face the reality of my future. I'm sorry I kept Prince Gabriel from you for so long. It's not because I didn't want you in my life. Nora, I do. He licks his lips, a contemplative look crossing his face. I guess I was so used to people only wanting to be with me because of what I am, not who I am. So I may not have given you Prince Gabriel. He brushes his thumb along my bottom lip, sending a shiver through me. But it's because I wanted you to see the best part of me, the real part of me. Although, I must confess, yes, I tilt my head back, my breathing growing uneven. You are the best part of me. My heart expands more than I thought possible as his declaration fills me with love. And you're the best part of me. He leans down, erasing the last bit of space between us. When his lips touch mine, I sigh into him, his kiss like an electrical jolt, sparking me back to life. It's not a passion-filled exchange like in front of the restaurant earlier. That one was for them. But this one, a gentle meeting of our mouths, is just for us. Anders, I exhale. Yes, I need you to take me home and make love to me. Putting out on the first date, he jokes with a sexy lift of his brows. I didn't think you'd complain. True. He pauses. But I'll have to respectfully decline. Decline. I wiggle free of his grasp, mouth agape. You can't be serious. He wraps an arm around my waist, tugging me against him. I initially try to resist his kiss, but it's a losing battle. Has been since the beginning. I have to respectfully decline, he repeats against my lips, because we don't need to go home. We don't. With a sly smile. He shakes his head and steps back, extending his hand toward me. Let me show you. I eye him cautiously, but curiosity gets the better of me, and I link my fingers with his, allowing him to lead me back into the elevator. When we arrive on the 3rd floor, Anderson opens the cage doors into yet another space. But unlike his studio, this is more like an apartment. An open-concept kitchen, dining, and living area greet me. It still has an industrial feel, but is more homey. So this must be your secret lair. Oh, most definitely. He chews on his bottom lip, giving me a seductive look that makes me nearly combust in my panties. If I were wearing any, that is. Last chance to make a run for it. I doubt I'd be able to work that elevator. With a shrug, I lift myself onto my toes, my mouth a breath away from his. I guess I'll have to take my chances. I guess you will. He clutches my hip, yanking me against him. Our chests heave as we peer into each other's eyes. Anticipation coils deep within, all the pent-up frustration from these past several weeks threatening to spill over like lava. Finally, he crushes his lips to mine, momentarily relieving the pressure inside me, but only for a heartbeat. When his tongue swipes against mine, lust consumes me, urging me to kiss him harder, deeper, faster, begging him to give me what I need, not breaking the contact. He steers me backward until my spine hits the wall. He grips my ass and, much like the first night we spent together, lifts me up, forcing my legs around his waist. I throw my head back, moaning when I feel his erection. I pulse against him, my breath coming quicker. The combination of my lack of panties and our weeks-long dry spell winding me tighter than I have been in recent memory. God, baby. He nuzzles me, nipping and sucking at the sensitive spot where my neck meets my shoulder. You have no idea how badly I want you. I feel how much you want me. I slide my hand down his chest, landing on his crotch. He hisses in a breath, briefly closing his eyes. Then he brings his thumb to my clit and slowly circles. And I feel how much you want me. Have been dying to do this all fucking night. You have no idea how badly I wanted to reach under the table during dinner and make you come right there. Anders. I moan, moving in time with his motions, but I won't let anybody else have that. Your moans, your whimpers, the look on your face when you come. He growls, rubbing me faster and faster. When he pulls back, his eyes swirl with pure animalistic hunger. It's all mine. I'm the only one who gets to see that. Yes, I move more frantically against him, out of my mind with lust. His words are possessive and dominant, but damn, I love it. Only you. Anders. Oh God. I struggle to catch my breath. My orgasm so close I can practically taste it. Put one foot back on the floor, he orders, readjusting his grip on me. I do as he instructs, keeping one leg wrapped around his waist while I lower a foot to the floor. I don't feel him as hard against me as before, But that all changes when he slips a finger inside me, his thumb still circling my clit. This reminds me of Tucumcari, his motions quickening. He adds another finger. Do you remember? How could I forget I pant? That was the night you told me who you really are. Then finger fucked me in the alley outside of the bar, because I couldn't go another minute without having you. He brings his lips to mine. My body burns hotter and hotter with each thrust and pinch, because I couldn't go another minute without making you come. He covers my mouth with his as a bomb detonates inside me, swallowing my cry, waves and waves of my orgasm washing over me. But that doesn't make him stop or pull away. He only kisses me harder, taking everything I have to offer, giving me everything he has in return. As my body and mind come back to earth, our kiss transitions from one of desperation and hunger to one of affection and respect. It's slow, but still makes me feel all the things this man brings out in me. My tremors waning. He lowers my other leg, maintaining his hold on me until I have my balance. That's why I asked you to not wear any panties. So this was all part of your plan. More or less. He shrugs. I wanted to recreate what I consider our first date, but give you the Prince Gabriel version. That first night in Tucumcari might not have been a date in the traditional sense, but I think that was where we truly began, where we both decided to take a risk on each other. Well, I can't take you out to a dive bar here, then finger fuck you in an alley. I'd like to think I've given you a taste of what that kind of date with Prince Gabriel would be like. I suppose. I draw out. You suppose you seem to have forgotten one rather important part of that first date. What's that? That after you finger fucked me in the alley, you all but bolted with me back to the hotel room so you could fuck me for real. I give him a coy smile. If we're recreating that first date, but the Prince Gabriel version, you can't neglect that. Otherwise, how am I to judge which version of you I like better? His pupils dilate, jaw clenching. Is that what you want? Nora. To be fucked by a prince. A shiver rolls through me, a new wave of moisture pooling between my legs. I swallow hard, chest heaving as he leers at me with a look that drives me wild with need. Tell me you do. He leans his forearm against the wall behind me and brushes his lips against mine. Tell me you want to be fucked by a prince. Holy shit. This may be the hottest thing we've done in a while. Even hotter than the quickie fuck the morning of our engagement announcement when he screwed me still dressed in his suit. The one he wore in all the photos that day. But this game is infinitely better. Doing my best to keep my voice steady, I look at him with an unwavering gaze. I want to be fucked by a prince. Chapter 25. Nora, neither one of us moves as my plea hangs in the air. God, the anticipation will be the death of me. Worse. Anderson knows it, yet is still torturing me to the point that I'm pretty sure this could be considered cruel and unusual punishment. Yes, he's already given me a mind-erasing orgasm, but I need more. Need him in all the ways I can have him. As a prince, as Anderson, as both at the same time. At the end of the day, he's all these things and more. My beautiful, mysterious, duplicitous prince. Finally. Anderson slowly curves his lips into a devious grin. I bet you do, my little vixen. Grabbing my wrist, he yanks me down the hallway. His steps quick, stride purposeful. When he reaches the last door, he opens it and flicks on the switch, the low light illuminating a large room, a king-sized bed in the middle. It's not nearly as extravagant as the one I've been sleeping in the past several weeks. This one is more simple, modern, blacks and whites accented with hints of lilac and plum. It's reminiscent of Anderson's beachfront condo in Santa Monica. A peek at the man beneath the crown. He kicks the door closed. I face him, the space between us crackling with tension. Stare resolute. He stalks toward me, shrugging out of his jacket and dropping it to the floor. My mouth goes dry at the way his muscles stretch the fabric of his black t-shirt. I haven't seen him in anything other than a suit and tie since we arrived here. It only makes my hunger for him increase. "Turn around," he orders, too desperate to disagree. I obey, spinning to face the bed. My heart pounds as I wait to feel his hands on me, my skin tingling with anticipation. But I don't feel anything right away, or even several moments later, when I don't think I can wait another second. His breath caresses my nape. I sigh, my body becoming momentarily lax as he presses soft kisses along my shoulders. God, I love your skin. So smooth, so creamy, so bloody perfect. He rests a hand on my stomach, pulling me against him, his front to my back. I whimper when he circles his hips, his erection prominent. I could bend you over the bed right like this and fuck you. Would you like that? I lean my head back against his shoulder, moaning as his hand brushes my nipple. When I don't immediately answer, he squeezes. I yelp, a shockwave of electricity rushing through me. "Tell me, Nora." Yes. His grip on me tightens, his arousal pressing harder against me. And God, what I wouldn't give to do just that. He wraps my hair around his fist, forcing my head to the side, leaving my neck completely exposed. It's official. This may be the hottest experience of my life. And I don't give a fuck who I'm with. Prince Gabriel, Anderson, it doesn't matter. I love all the parts that make up this man. I want all the parts that make up this man, the good and the bad. When his teeth skim against my neck, I cry out, "But I'm not." He abruptly pulls away, leaving me wanting. I should be used to this by now. It's a typical Anderson move, but damn if it doesn't frustrate me to no end, which is precisely why he keeps doing it. I whirl around, panting. Not what? Going to fuck you. He's so nonchalant about it, as if talking about the weather. He slides off his shoes, then untucks his t-shirt, pulling it over his head. It doesn't matter how many times I've seen this man naked. I still marvel at his physique. He's lost a little muscle tone over the past year, but he still has an incredible form, broad shoulders, sculpted chest, that chiseled V around his abdomen. But I just told you I wanted to be fucked by a prince. I protest. You also asked me to make love to you. He unbuckles his belt and slides it out of the loops. My attention is drawn to the tufts of hair just above his waist. It's like I haven't spent the past year becoming acquainted with every part of his body, like it's our first time all over again. So what's it going to be? Nora. I chew on my lower lip, considering my options. Why does it have to be one or the other? Why should I limit myself to only one? He can fuck me and make love to me at the same time, just like my heart can love Prince Gabriel and Anderson North. Sauntering up to him, I brush my lips against his. I finally realized I can have both. I pull back, my eyes locking with his. I can love both. A hint of relief flashes across his expression, the meaning in my words not lost on him. Just because you only see one side of me doesn't mean the other doesn't love and admire you. I cup his cheek. I know. I understand that now. He loops his arm around my waist, erasing the last bit of space separating us. You've possessed the most important part of me all along. He takes my hand and brings it to his chest, covering his tattoo of a compass. My heart. Nora. You own it. Regardless of whether I'm putting on a show as Prince Gabriel or revealing my innermost secrets to a complete stranger I met on Route 66 as Anderson North. I blow out a tearful laugh at the memory. My heart will always belong to you. His mouth meets mine in a searing kiss. It's not the affectionate-filled kiss like when we first arrived here, but it's not the lust-filled kiss from mere minutes ago, either. It's a combination of both, ravenous, yet ardent, greedy, yet satisfied, eager, yet content. He grips my hip and steers me toward the bed, when the back of my legs hit the mattress. We stop, but he doesn't retreat. Instead, He finds the zipper on my dress and lowers it with ease. I help him push the sleeves down my arms, allowing the material to fall over my hips and pool at my feet. He gradually brings our kiss to an end, his eyes flaming as they take in my black lace bra. I doubt this is on the approved list of royal attire. "Sit on the edge of the mattress," he says in a low voice. I nod, doing as he asks. He drops to his knees and takes one heel-clad foot in his hand. He plants kisses from my knee down to my ankle before unfastening the strap, sliding off my shoe. I don't know how he does it, but he makes this mundane act extremely erotic. My pulse increasing when he gives my other leg the same treatment, not looking away. He stands, pushing down his pants and briefs before kicking them off. "Like what you see?" He flashes me a flirtatious smirk. "You know I do." I grab his hand, yanking him on top of me as we both collapse onto the mattress. When I wrap my legs around his waist and feel skin against skin, I whimper. "I need you," I murmur. "Need to feel you." Using the element of surprise, I manage to flip him over, straddling him. As I straighten and unclasp my bra, tossing it to the side, his eyes go even darker. His chest heaves through his unsteady breathing. With slow motions, he takes a breast in each hand, kneading. I arch into him, closing my eyes as I relish in the sensation. From the moment I met him nearly a year ago, I knew there was something different about him. After I lost Hunter, I didn't think I'd ever find love again. Didn't think I wanted to find love again. How could I love another man when my heart belonged to a ghost? Then Anderson walked into my life, in a matter of days. He managed to break down the walls I'd built around my heart, crept his way under the mask I'd erected after a lifetime of being made to feel inferior. He did something I didn't think another man would be able to. Made me feel beautiful. He still makes me feel beautiful. Fingers burrowing into my hair. He coaxes my mouth toward him, but I fight against it, remaining just out of reach as I circle against him. "You know you're driving me crazy, right?" he growls, digging his fingers into my scalp. I waggle my brows. I can feel that. He brings both hands to my hips. Before I can react, he swiftly flips me onto my back and slams his mouth against mine. Resting his weight on one forearm, he reaches between our bodies and brings his arousal up to my center. But like the tease he is, he doesn't push into me. Instead, he tortures me by getting so close before retreating. I'm about to take matters into my own hands when he finally inches inside me. Euphoria washes over me and I moan, momentarily sated at the connection of our two bodies. The connection we've both been deprived of for too long now. "Look at me," he demands when he's barely inside me, teasing me with this small taste. I do as he asks, focusing my eyes on his. He keeps his stare trained on me as he pushes deeper, slowly torturing me with his languid motions until he's fully seated. He doesn't move for a protracted moment, neither one of us so much as breathing. Then he exhales, his body going slack before he pulls back and thrusts into me again. "God damn," he grunts, pupils dilating. I wrap my legs around him, my fingers digging through his hair. He withdraws once more before driving inside. This time, he continues thrusting. It's not hard and punishing, but not gentle and tame, either. It's both Anderson and Prince Gabriel in this one amazing connection. I've known the truth of who Anderson is almost from the beginning. He didn't trick me into sleeping with him and then reveal his true identity. Before I invited him into my bed, I knew he was a prince. But this is the first time it feels like I'm sleeping with all of him. That he's finally allowing me to have all of him. To have not just the person he wishes he could be, but also the person he wishes he didn't have to be. "I love you," I say as I cup his face in my hands, holding him tightly. "All of you." He briefly closes his eyes as he moves faster, yet still reverently. "And I love you, Nora," He chokes out, "So goddamn much." His lips press against mine, and I succumb to him. Not just his kiss, but everything about him. All his faults, his regrets, his fears, his imperfections. They're all pieces of him, and I wouldn't change a thing. Not anymore. With each thrust, my body is propelled higher and higher. A wave of desire slices through me as I fight against that familiar sensation. But it's more pronounced than before, more intense, more everything. My breathing grows more uneven as I struggle to make sense of the myriad of emotions rolling through me. I want to fall apart, but don't want to without Anderson, as if sensing my inner war. Anderson pulls out of our kiss and cups my face in his hands. "Wait for me," he begs, increasing his rhythm. "Always." I tighten my legs around him, that familiar tingling starting low in my core. His pants fill the room, his increasingly frantic thrusts pushing me closer and closer to the point of oblivion. When I dig my nails into his spine, he reels back, roaring like an untamed beast as his orgasm sneaks up on him. He collapses on top of me, his teeth clamping onto my neck as he keeps thrusting, the pain mixed with pleasure setting me off yet again. Lights flashing before my eyes. I fall apart with my prince, wave after wave of bliss washing over me and erasing every last doubt I've ever had. Our heavy breathing fills the room as we attempt to come down, neither of us wanting to move, to put any space between us. There's been too big of a distance between us lately. I don't want to go back to that. When he manages to lift his head, he peers at me with reverence, at odds with the carnal lust that blanketed his expression mere minutes ago. I wish I could promise you that I won't fuck up again, but chances are I will, and probably worse than I did this week. Despite popular opinion that the royal family pisses rainbows and shits unicorns, we're not perfect, far from it. I laugh slightly, averting my gaze, but he pinches my chin, drawing my eyes back to his. Better yet, we don't have to be perfect, and neither do you. You can tell me when shit just really bloody sucks and you miss home. I may not be able to whisk you away on the next flight to JFK, but I can at least do something to try to fix it. Even if the best I can do is recreate an outdoor movie in Bryant Park, or have a pastrami and rye from Cats flown in. I shoot up, pushing him off me, mouth agape. You can do that. What recreate an outdoor movie? Of course. No. I quickly shake my head. Have Cats flown in? Do you have any idea how badly I've been craving some pastrami and matzo ball soup and pickles? Lots and lots of pickles. He laughs as he pulls me into his arms. And here I thought pregnancy cravings didn't start until the second trimester. At least that's what the book I've been reading says. My brows furrow. You've been reading a pregnancy book. I figured it was the least I could do, considering we've barely been able to see each other lately. Thought if I read a bit on what happens every week, at least I'd have some frame of reference. His expression falls. I should have started in the chapter about dealing with pregnancy loss. He cups my cheek, his hold resolute. If I had known how difficult that first appointment could be, especially after what you went through, I never would have missed it. I knew it was important. You told me as much. I should have fought harder for you, for your needs. From now on, that's exactly what I plan on doing. Okay, I part my lips, about to argue that he had a legitimate excuse, but he won't hear it, erasing my protest with a kiss. Okay, he repeats, with a small smile. I nod. Okay. Good. He pulls me against him again as I process this new piece of information. Try to picture Anderson in his office, a stack of pregnancy books piled beside whatever important things are on his agenda for the day. What is it he asks? His voice borderline accusatory. What do you mean I can hear you thinking? I didn't know thinking made a sound. He runs a finger along my back, the gesture comforting. Not for most people, but I can hear your brain. He places a kiss on my head. Tell me, No more secrets. I tilt my head back to look into his eyes. I'm just trying to picture you reading a pregnancy book. I have to admit, it's not easy, especially when the only things I've seen you read are the newspaper and books on World War II. It was actually quite interesting. I shift toward him and prop my head in my hand. Oh yeah, what kinds of things did you pick up on? He pinches his lips together for a beat, peering into the distance in contemplation. I can't help but admire the strong lines of his face, the proud nose, square jaw, not to mention full mouth that brings me more pleasure than should be legal. Babies drink a lot of pee. I grimace. Okay. Not once they're born. But when they're developing, amniotic fluid is pretty much all pee. I found that interesting. I was actually wondering about that. I'm glad to know the heir to the throne stays up at night wondering about baby's pee while in utero. He shrugs. What can I say? I'm a pretty complicated guy. You've got that right. I run my hand through his hair and muss it up. What else did you learn that your uterus can press more weight than some bodybuilders? Really? Yup. Apparently, the force of your contractions can equal up to 180 kilograms per square foot. And in U.S. terms, what's 180 kilograms? He scrunches his brows, doing the math in his head. A little less than 400 pounds. Wow, my vagina deserves a medal. His lips lift in a playful smirk. Damn straight it does. Or maybe an award in the shape of my cock. When he thrusts against me, I swat him, trying to fight my smile. It's impossible, though, especially when he turns into the flirt he is now. Okay then, what else did you learn? His eyes darken as he brushes a finger against my nipple, then squeezes. It instantly hardens, sparks shooting through me. In the 3rd trimester, nipple stimulation can bring on labor. He pushes me onto my back, covering a nipple with his mouth as he continues to tease the other one. So, when you're on the cusp of popping from carrying our baby for 40 weeks, I'm your guy. He circles my pert bud. Hell, I'm your guy now. I close my eyes, basking in the sensation. That's all it takes for my libido to put out her cigarette and jump back into the fray. Ready for round 2. Or is it 3? When he slips a finger back inside me, his mouth still on my chest, I murmur, I think I can get on board with that. Chapter 26. Anderson. The scent of baby powder and lavender surrounds me as I approach the gardens near the edge of my estate. I could be blind and still know Nora's out here. Thankfully, I'm not. I may eventually need help walking, but at least I have my eyesight. At least I'll always be able to appreciate Nora's beauty. And right now, as she sits in a lounge chair, the sun warming her milky skin, a pile of letters stacked on the table beside her. I don't think I've ever seen her so beautiful, because she's also finally found her peace, found her place in this world. Over the past few weeks, things have turned around quite a bit, especially for Nora. No longer is she kept out of the spotlight for fear she'll do something wrong. Since I informed the Palace PR team that I plan to do things my way from now on, the country has finally gotten a chance to know their future queen. During our public appearances together, Nora absolutely shines. Absolutely. Not only is she the picture of poise and grace, but she also takes time to talk to people, and not just about approved topics. Nora engages in meaningful conversations, a gift that continues to marvel me every day. But what really endeared her to the people of this country, as well as across the world, was the day we visited a pediatric oncology wing. Despite having another engagement immediately after, she insisted on staying to play dress-up with a few of the younger patients. Suffice it to say, the media remained behind to cover that story. Instead of a photo op, I had to attend with my father and a few foreign dignitaries. Now, the press is much more interested in the future Crown Princess's public appearances than anyone else's. The royal household hates it. I love it. Once I stopped blindly following their advice simply because that was the way things had always been done. Nora began to soar, a caged bird no more. The people adore her, as evidenced by the hundreds upon hundreds of letters she receives every day, not only from people in Belmont, but around the world. Little girls who see a real-life fairy tale coming true. School-aged children who wish her good luck on her upcoming wedding. Even some older women who have also suffered a pregnancy loss, thanking her for bringing light to miscarriage and stillbirth, something that continues to carry a stigma. As ridiculous as that sounds, "I know you're standing there watching me like a creeper," she says, her eyes remaining focused on the palace stationery as she responds to another piece of fan mail, as I call it. Although the royal household hates that term, hates the idea that Nora was able to accumulate adoring fans, despite all their efforts to the contrary. Initially, she had hoped to respond to each and every letter. However, that proved to be a challenge, particularly as the number of letters increased to the point where the staff now has to choose which ones they'll give her. "What can I say?" I retort, taking slow steps toward her. "I like looking at you, especially when you're in it. In it." She signs her name, another thing the royal household despises, since they view it as an autograph, which is against the rules. Then she glances over her shoulder. Brilliant blue eyes meet mine as joy radiates from her. Weeks ago, I didn't think this level of happiness was possible. Instead, I was prepared for her to walk away from this world, but she hasn't. Granted, it hasn't all been unicorns and rainbows. There are still quite a few people who don't like the idea of me marrying an American. But we've stopped caring what anyone else thinks, which was a huge feat for Nora, since she's lived most of her life doing everything to live up to her mother's impossible standards, of always trying to be perfect in everyone's eyes. She's finally realized she'll never make everyone happy, that there will always be someone critical of something she says, does, or wears. In it, I repeat as I slide into the chair beside her, like when you're so immersed in what you're doing that you forget there's a world outside of it all. You're in it. I shrug. It's something my mother used to say whenever she noticed I was deep in thought. She leans toward me and treats me to a kiss that leaves me wanting so much more. I like it. She lingers near my mouth for a beat, then pulls back, grabbing the next letter and unfolding it. "To what do I owe this pleasure?" she asks, as she reads a letter I can only assume to be from another young girl. Based on the disjointed writing, "I thought you'd be stuck in meetings the rest of the day." I extend my legs in front of me and cross them at the ankles as I place my hands behind my head and lean back. That's the good thing about being in charge. I can reschedule if I want. She gives me a playful look of disapproval before grabbing a fresh piece of stationery to respond to another letter. Just seeing her pile of responses makes my hand ache. "You're not in charge yet. Your father isn't officially going to abdicate until a few months after little Pickle is born." She pats her stomach. While it's still not obvious she's pregnant, I'm the lucky bastard who gets to share my life with her. Every night when I fall asleep with Nora in my arms, my hand always seems to find its way to her stomach, a little bump becoming more noticeable, at least to me. I can't help but marvel that a tiny life we created grows within. I don't want to rush the process, still enjoying this time with Nora when it's just us. But I can't wait to meet Little Pickle, as Nora has nicknamed him or her, after her latest craving. One I try to satisfy as much as possible by having her favorite New York treat of pastrami on rye and pickles flown in from Katz. Then maybe I'll head back to the palace and not take you to Paris for the weekend, I say nonchalantly as I stand, re-securing the button on my suit jacket. "Paris," she shrieks, scrambling to her feet, letters falling onto the ground around her. "Did you say you're taking me to Paris?" I was thinking about it. You know, give you an immersive experience after all your French lessons. But you're right. I continue in a forced, serious tone. I should absolutely go back to work. No. She flings her arms around me, squeezing me tightly, bouncing on the balls of her feet. "Take me to Paris." I chuckle, placing my hand on her back and pulling her closer. "If that's what you wish." my lady. She looks at me, smiling brightly. Oh, it is. It really, really is. I lower my mouth to hers, our lips skimming. Then let's go to Paris. Chapter 27. Nora Paris. I'm in fucking Paris, home of the Notre Dame Cathedral, the Arc de Triomphe, and the Eiffel Tower, of croissants and eclairs, of love. For as long as I can remember, this has been a dream of mine, but it always seemed so unattainable. Hunter and I had discussed coming here after our wedding. Then I got pregnant, so our Paris honeymoon was changed to something not so far away. When I met Jeremy, he promised to eventually take me, too. But something always came up. After we divorced, I considered coming here as part of my divorcation, the term my friends and I used to refer to a honeymoon for a divorcee. Instead, they insisted I take the trip along Route 66 I was supposed to do with Hunter, fulfill the promise I made his parents that I'd spread his ashes along the route, which was where I met Anderson. It's funny how life works sometimes. I may have foregone my trip to Paris to finally say goodbye to the ghosts of my past. But in doing so, I found my way to Paris anyway. What do you think? Ma chérie Anderson asks, as we stroll along the Seine, the setting sun casting a magical glow over the city that's still alive with a mixture of locals and tourists. The Eiffel Tower reaches for the heavens before us, Notre Dame Cathedral behind us, romance surrounding us. Artists sit along the river, hard at work at capturing whatever catches their eye. We even passed several couples dancing along the promenade. This city truly is romance personified. It's even more beautiful than I imagined. The perfect weekend getaway. Since we arrived earlier today after a flight that lasted less than an hour, Anderson showed me a few of his favorite spots around the city. The Sacré-Cœur Basilica atop the hill in Montmartre, which has one of the most amazing views of Paris. Rue de la Paix, with all its exquisite shopping, where we struggled to resist the temptation whenever we saw anything baby-related, since we still need to keep that a secret. The Pantheon, where some of the greatest French minds are buried: Rousseau, Voltaire, Dumas, and Père Lachaise Cemetery, where we paid our respects to Héloïse and Abelard, the famous star-crossed lovers who were forced to carry out their love through letters. There's nothing like Paris, he admits, his own eyes alight with a renewed energy. I wasn't the only one who needed this little getaway. He did too. While we've made an effort to spend more time with each other these past few weeks, Anderson rarely attending any engagements in the evening unless I'm with him. Life behind the proverbial palace walls can still be exhausting, especially with the wedding in just 2 weeks. It's been refreshing to be a normal couple. Granted, a few people have recognized us as we explored the city, a team of plainclothes protective officers flanking us, but we haven't been chased by the paparazzi, who seem to have become obsessed with capturing our every movement back home. My dad always dreamed of coming here. I murmur absent-mindedly as a breeze wraps around me and kicks up a scent that can only be described as Paris food, history, and love. You were 5 when he died, correct? Anderson asks, his voice hesitant. Throughout our relationship, I haven't spoken of my dad in any detail. Doing that would inevitably lead to my mother, which is always a touchy subject. I can't remember much about him, especially since he was still active military and was on deployment quite a bit. But I do remember that, promised that one day, when we had enough money, he'd take me. I'm sorry he was never able to. Don't be. I shrug. My father taught me how to dream. Here was someone who came from nothing. Literally, he had no one. He tilts his head. His interest piqued as I speak of this man who's remained a mystery to him most of our relationship. What do you mean his parents were addicts? He was neglected a lot growing up, most of the time. The only meal he ate during the day was the lunch the school provided. When school was on break, he either had to steal food or hope one of his teachers felt bad enough for him that they'd drop off something. Why didn't the authorities get involved if his parents weren't feeding him, were neglecting him? I don't know. I only learned this from my brothers and a few of the members in his unit who stayed in touch with us. He nods. And they're all much older than you. Correct your brothers. I mean, Charlie's 7 years older, Michael's 8, and Joshua's 10. Because of the age difference, I always felt like an only child. Anyway, my dad could have very easily followed in his parents' footsteps, started doing drugs, repeating the cycle. But he didn't. Anderson remarks, "No, thanks to his French teacher." His eyes widen. His French teacher. Why does that surprise you? I could see a football coach getting him on the right path. But a French teacher, it's just unusual. Well, his French teacher was also his wrestling coach, so you're not totally off base. I wink. My dad grew up in a small town in rural North Carolina that consisted of maybe 2,000 people, so culture wasn't high on their list of priorities. Hell, most people in town had lived there since birth, had probably never ventured too far away from the town line. So his French class was my father's first exposure to a different culture, an eye-opening experience to a world outside the one he'd been living. That became his dream, his motivation to do whatever it took to get out of that small town and not repeat the cycle. So he joined the military. It was the only way out for him. A silence passes between us. Then he glances my way. "How did he meet your mother?" I smile nostalgically. When I first heard their love story, I thought it was beautiful. The kind of story we all hope to have. Unfortunately, their happily ever after was short-lived. At a funeral. A funeral, I nod. When my father left town for boot camp, he swore he'd never come back, until he learned his French teacher had passed away. So he requested leave and went home to pay his respects. His teacher's name was James Harcourt. His daughter's name is Elaine. Your mother. Anderson breathes. Yes. My dad told his Navy buddies it was love at first sight. Unfortunately, she had a boyfriend at the time, and 3 young boys, but they weren't married. Your mother and this boyfriend. No. I furrow my brows. I never figured out why. One of my dad's Navy buddies thought my mom was a romantic at heart, at least back then, that she knew her boyfriend wasn't her soulmate. But my father was. After the funeral, they stayed in touch, sent letters to each other, which I find extremely romantic, especially nowadays when most couples send texts asking to hook up. Over the course of a year and dozens of letters, they fell in love. My mom left her boyfriend, married my father, and 3 years later, I was born. I give him a smile. Wow. Anderson blinks, seemingly surprised by this. That sounds incredibly sweet. You didn't expect that. Based on what I know of your mother, no, she wasn't always the way she is now. She used to be nice, loving. It wasn't until my father passed away that she changed. When he died, a part of her did, too. She became a different person, someone I barely recognize. And it's only gotten worse with every man she marries and realizes he isn't my father, will never be my father. I think that's why I trail off. Why what he presses? I shrug sheepishly. I haven't told him about my most recent conversation with my mother. I didn't think it mattered. It still doesn't. Remember, no secrets. I draw in a breath, slowly shifting my gaze toward his. Why she accused me of doing the same thing with you after she learned of our engagement, when she called me a few weeks ago. He forces me to stop walking and peers at me with frantic eyes. I'd left explicit instructions with your private secretary that she was not to get through to you. I place my hand on his cheek, placating him. She manipulated him, made him think it was a call from the hospital about Chloe. He takes a deep breath, then slowly lets it out. What did she say? Other than being pissed about not receiving an invitation to our wedding, she claimed I'm only marrying you because of a shared traumatic experience. He blows out a laugh. That's why you shouldn't marry me. True, but the heart can't be reasoned with. And despite it all, my heart still wants you. He leans down, our lips meeting in a soft kiss. My heart will always want you. I link my fingers with his once more as we continue along the river. A comfortable silence between us. It reminds me of the miles we traveled together along Route 66, neither one of us saying anything, simply enjoying the serenity. I once hated silence, needed to fill it with conversation, particularly around someone I didn't know well. But from the beginning, I didn't feel that way around Anderson. He truly became the stranger I recognized, as a fortune teller predicted would be the man who owned my heart. How about you, I ask after a while. How did your parents meet? My mom was jumping one of her horses at competition, and my dad happened to have a polo match on the next field. When the match was over, he headed back to his car and saw my mom. Said he was mesmerized, couldn't look away. So he stayed. Then he found out her name and the rest of her competition dates. Made sure to be there. It was a slow-build romance, much like your parents. They started as friends, I suppose, although there was always something else there. But my father couldn't date publicly without the media going crazy over it, even though he was second in line at the time. So they dated in private for a while, because they both understood once they went public with their relationship, they'd be pushed toward marriage. My father knew she had strong ambitions and respected those. What kind of ambitions? While I've learned quite a bit about his mother through all my princess training, they didn't go over any personal aspects of the woman who gave Anderson life. She loved animals, was studying equine science and wanted to eventually work with horses. By the time she finished her schooling, my aunt and uncle already had 4 kids. So my father was now 6th in line to the crown and didn't need my grandfather's approval to marry any longer. Regardless, he asked for it, and they were married about a year later. But despite the fact she was now a princess, she never stopped caring about her horses. Even when she became queen consort, most of her time at the palace was spent in the stables. I wish I could have met her, I say after a beat. She would have loved you. You have the same attitude toward this life. I chuckle. The same disregard for the rules. You mean exactly. He pulls me to a stop and loops an arm around my waist, yanking my body into his. But I wouldn't change anything about you. And I wouldn't change anything about you. Digging his free hand through my hair. He presses his mouth against mine, coaxing my lips apart. Even his kisses feel different in this city. More poignant, more powerful, more potent. What do you say to going to my absolute favorite spot in Paris? He murmurs against my mouth. And what's that? The view from our suite. Of course. While I've enjoyed roaming Paris with Anderson, this entire day has been one big tease, my desire for him increasing with every second. I want nothing more than to lock ourselves in our suite and never come out. I'd love to, I answer. I barely utter a single syllable before he clutches my hand in his and hurries me in the direction of our hotel. Chapter 28. Anderson. The door to the room doesn't have a chance to close before I slam Nora against the wall, my mouth claiming hers. Maybe it's this city. Maybe it's being away from my responsibilities for the weekend. Maybe it's just Nora. I don't know. But an animalistic craving unlike any I've ever experienced overtakes me. I grind my hips against hers, my tongue plunging deeper into her mouth, an addict desperate for his next high. Did you bring your camera, Nora pants when I pull away, peppering hungry kisses along her jawline, nipping at her flesh, gripping her thigh. I force her leg around my waist. My camera. Why I tug her closer, squeezing her ass. Because she moans when I cover her nipple with my mouth through her dress and bra. I want you to take my photo, like you did in Santa Monica. My muscles tighten at the memory of snapping her photo as she slept. How a few innocent photos turned into one of the most erotic experiences of my life. I pull back, peering down at her. Really? Her sultry eyes trained on me. She nods. Yes, but even naughtier. I'd be a fool to say no to that. Releasing my hold on her, I stride farther into the suite. I unzip my camera bag and retrieve the body, attaching a lens to it. By the time I face Nora, she's already naked, her dress and sandals lying in a heap. I expect her to head toward the bedroom and climb onto the bed. Instead, she brushes past me toward the French doors leading to the balcony. Nora, what are you doing? What good are these photos if you can't tell where we are? All bedrooms look the same, but there's only one Paris. She smirks flirtatiously, then steps onto the balcony without a care in the world that she's naked, that somebody might see her. It's official. Paris has infused into her blood, and I love every second. I follow her out onto the balcony. A few blocks away, the Eiffel Tower shines brightly against a midnight blue sky. I cautiously glance around, concerned some paparazzi discovered our location and booked a nearby room. But we're secluded on this balcony on the top floor of the hotel, the night sky offering a curtain not possible during the day, swaying her hips. Nora walks toward the bistro table and lowers herself into the chair. She crosses her legs, her posture and confidence reminiscent of Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct. Then she stiffens. "What am I thinking?" she says playfully, uncrossing her legs and slanting them to the side, crossing them at the ankles. That was no way for a royal to sit. I really should pay more attention to the rules. I can't help but laugh at the irony. I'm fairly certain we're currently breaking every rule in the book. I didn't see any rule against allowing my fiancé to photograph me nude. Pretty sure it's an unspoken one covered by the prohibition against indecent or immoral behavior. "Are you going to reprimand me?" she asks in a husky voice. "Maybe spank me for being so naughty." Jesus, I hiss under my breath, my hands trembling with the excitement of an inexperienced teenager before he cops his first feel. "What's gotten into you?" "Hopefully you will soon." She straightens. "Now, how would you like me?" "That's a loaded question," I mutter under my breath, trying to concentrate on adjusting the aperture and focus on the camera. Not the fact that the woman who will be my wife in just 2 weeks currently sits on the balcony of our Paris hotel room completely naked. I'm sure it's not the only thing that's loaded. I can't fight the smile crossing my lips. This woman constantly surprises me. I never know what to expect with her. Every day a new adventure. "Come on. Anders, tell me." I inhale, returning my gaze to her, doing my best to switch from horny male to professional photographer. I study the background and ambient light from the city, which casts a glow on Nora's peachy skin as she sits with her back straight. Expression even. There's almost something haunting about her. "Like that," I answer softly, bringing the camera up to my face and snapping a few photos. Don't move a muscle. I squat, capturing her from a lower angle, the moon highlighting her sinful curves. "Look off to your left," I say, entranced. She does as I ask, peering into the distance, her chest rising and falling in a quicker pattern. "Lift your chin a bit," I tell her. Again, she obeys my request, elongating her neck. "My God, you are so beautiful." Right now, with Paris behind her, I see what so many others have commented on since I introduced her to my world. She is the new Grace Kelly, and not simply because she's an American about to marry a prince, but because she bears a striking resemblance to the actress, especially now as I capture her silhouette. If I put this picture beside one of Grace Kelly, I doubt anyone would be able to tell the difference. Dainty nose, heart-shaped lips, milky skin. Hold on. I quickly straighten. "I'll be right back." I hurry back into the room. Opening my suitcase, I grab a black velvet box. I'd planned to wait to give it to her tomorrow, but this is the perfect accessory right now. Returning to Nora, I hand her the box, to which she responds with a playful look of disapproval. You spoil me. You know that, right? If I can't spoil my wife-to-be and mother of my child, who can I spoil? She attempts to reel in her smile, to no avail. When she opens the box, a gasp escapes. Anders. I extend my hand, an unspoken request for permission. She nods. I take the box from her, removing the bracelet. Every woman needs a pearl bracelet. I take her wrist in mine and attach the string of pearls. I already have one. She reminds me. True. But this one is made up of all natural pearls. Her eyes widen. These are all natural. I slowly nod. Jesus. Anders, how much did this cost you? You don't want to know? You're right. I don't think I do. Do you like it? She admires the glistening stones with appreciation. It's perfect. Good. I smile at her, my heart expanding. Now, where were we? You were taking dirty pictures of me. They're not dirty. They're beautiful. You're beautiful. You make me feel beautiful. She cranes her head toward me. I meet her lips, kissing her sweetly, but don't deepen it. If I do, I won't be able to control myself, and I want this night to last forever. Come this way. I help her to her feet, leading her toward the ledge. Bend a little at the waist and lean on the railing. She follows my request, but the angle seems wrong. Here, I move behind her to reposition her. The second our skin touches, the atmosphere shifts, sexual heat crackling and sizzling. I curve toward her, inhaling her perfume as I smooth a hand down her arm, linking my fingers with hers and moving it farther away from her body. Then I straighten her so she's putting her weight on her hands, yet not leaning too far over the railing, content with her form. I grab her chin and position it so she's looking down at the bracelet and sparkling diamond ring. I step back to check her placement. Everything about her just so damn perfect, right down to the slight swell of her stomach. I grab my camera, snapping several photos, wanting to capture everything about her poise, her confidence, her grace. I've never met anyone else like her in my life. I doubt I will again. Is something wrong? She asks once the shutter stops, glancing over her shoulder, her eyes locking with mine. I set my camera onto the table and walk up to her. I smooth her hair back from her nape and plant warm kisses along her skin. I can't wait another damn second. I spin her around in one quick move. She's not able to get out a surprised gasp before I cover her lips with mine, my tongue tangling with hers, hand firm on her hip. I steer her back into the suite. She moans into my mouth, running her fingers through my hair, when her nails dig into my scalp, igniting me on fire. I kiss her even harder. Once we reach the bed, I carefully lower her onto it, my motions quick as I shrug out of my jacket and kick off my shoes. Then I yank my t-shirt over my head before shoving my jeans and boxers down my legs, stepping out of them, joining her on the mattress. I seek out her mouth once more, desperate for another taste of her sweet nectar. I need you, she murmurs breathily. And I need you, need to bury myself deep inside you. I pull back, framing her face in my hands. But I need to taste you first. Need your cum on my tongue. Fuck, Anders. She writhes beneath me as I snake down her frame. I take one of her nipples in my mouth, gently nibbling. Can I do that, God? Yes. I moan as I inch farther south, my tongue trailing down her torso. Her stomach rolls through her increasingly ragged breathing, especially as I grow closer to her center. When I settle between her thighs, I steal a glance at her, a look of delicious anticipation on her face. She squirms and pulses, her body telling me to give her what she craves. the instant my tongue makes that first contact against her. She moans, temporarily relieved as she loses herself in my touch. I start slowly, teasing and torturing her, slightly pressing a finger inside her before retreating, which only frustrates her. "Please," she begs, her plea sounding like a combination of a mule and a pant. I grin, inching my finger a bit farther inside her as my tongue circles her clit. When I finally push all the way in, she whimpers, begging me to go deeper and faster. I continue my ministrations, adding another finger, then another, stretching and massaging her. "Anders." She moans again, lost to the sensations. I love watching her like this. So sexy, so needy, so out of her mind with lust. "Do you want to come?" I ask, increasing my motions. Yes, that's my girl. When I nip her clit, she releases a noiseless gasp. Her motions grow more frantic and desperate until she cries out, her body pulsing through her orgasm. But I don't pull away. Instead, I do everything I can to draw out this sensation of bliss as long as possible. Once her tremors have subsided, I crawl up her frame and slam my lips against hers. God, I love watching that. Love being the one to make you come like that. And I love when you make me come like that. She waggles her brows. "So why don't you go for two?" I chuckle, reaching down and stroking myself. But my dick doesn't seem to get the message that there's a beautiful woman in my bed. "Oh, come on. Not now. What's wrong?" Nora hoists herself onto her elbows. "Nothing," I grind out, frustration forming in my throat as I stroke myself harder. To no avail. "God damn it, here." Nora sits up, reaching for me. "Let me." She presses her hand against my shoulder, pushing me onto my back. I squeeze my eyes shut, trying to focus on the warmth of Nora's fingers wrapped around me, not the fear that this is yet another one of the side effects of MS coming to rear its ugly head at the worst possible moment. I push down the thought, remembering Nora posing on the balcony, so confident and sexy. But nothing seems to work, not even this incredibly provocative woman attempting to jerk me off. "Fuck," I roar, shooting upright. It's useless. I bolt off the bed, grabbing my jeans and sliding them on. "It's okay. We'll try again in a little while." "No." I tug at my hair as I pace. "It is not okay. I'm fucking useless. Nora, I can't even keep my goddamn fiancé happy because of this bloody disease." She scrambles to her feet, placing a hand on my bicep. "You don't have to sleep with me to make me happy." "Anders," she says with all the sympathy I've come to expect from her. It still makes me feel inadequate, though, like I'll end up not being able to give her what she needs, what she deserves, like I'm less of a man. I shrug her off, making her gasp, the sting of my rejection seeming to burn her hand. But that doesn't make me stop. Today, I can't get an erection. Tomorrow, who knows? Maybe I'll start pissing and shitting myself. Is that really what you want? You really want to be saddled with someone who can't even control his own fucking body? Yes. 1,000,000 times yes. Like I've told you repeatedly, I don't care about any of that. All I care about is you. And I love you. Anders. She grabs my hand in hers, not bothering to cover up. Instead, she exposes herself to me in all her raw vulnerability, as if hoping I'll do the same. But it's different. This wasn't supposed to happen to me. I'm going to be king one day. How can I lead an entire nation if I can't even control my body? Anders, talk to me. Don't shut me out. I'm not... You are... Do you honestly think I haven't noticed something off lately, she retorts. You're pushing yourself too hard. You need to take time for yourself, for your health. You don't have to be everything for everyone. Yes, I do. I roar, my voice louder than I anticipated. That's exactly what I have to fucking be. Nora, breath hitching. She straightens, eyes wide in surprise, and a hint of fear. It's this fear that hits me hard. I scrub a hand over my face, my mind cloudy as I attempt to collect my thoughts. Stepping toward her, I cup her cheek. I'm sorry, I can handle the occasional tremor and dizzy spell. But what happens when I can no longer walk? Can no longer fuck? I choke out, my frustration turning to despair. She places her hand over mine as I continue to hold her face. I'll still be by your side. I pinch my lips together, shaking my head. I should find comfort in her reassurance that she loves me regardless of whether I'm able-bodied or bound to a wheelchair. And a part of me does. But there's this other part of me that thinks it's selfish of me to ask that of her, to force her to stay by my side while my body slowly deteriorates, to force her to watch me die a little more every day. She's already lost so much. Can I really ask her to lose even more? I need to go for a walk. I retreat from her. Anders, please, don't push me away. She begs again. This time, I respond a bit more calmly. I just need to take a minute to clear my head. Try some of your meditation exercises. They always seem to help. I lie. Maybe by the time I return, the general will finally be awake. I blow out a laugh, hoping my joke will console her, but she still looks at me with sympathy, and perhaps even a little pity. I hate it. I won't be long. I place a soft kiss on her forehead, then tug on my shirt. Once I slide on my shoes, I grab my wallet and mobile, firing off a quick text to Creed before walking out of the suite. I don't even acknowledge him when he steps out of the next room and follows me toward the elevator. He doesn't say a word the entire ride down to the lobby, being the good friend he is, or perhaps trained protection officer. I'm about to make my way onto the sidewalk when I spy a lounge in the corner of the lobby. I haven't had a drink in nearly a year. Controlling my diet was supposed to help slow down the progression of my MS and prevent any flare-ups. Apparently not. Sir, Creed touches my bicep, eyes narrowed, sensing my thoughts. I know it comes from a place of concern, whereas most people would accuse me of behaving like a spoiled rich kid. I can't shake the feeling that my world is falling apart around me. If I can't feel pleasure, I'd rather be numb. Fuck you. I shrug him off, then storm toward the lounge. Chapter 29. Nora. The sound of a slamming door stirs me from a restless sleep. As I blink my eyes open, I glance at Anderson's side of the bed, still empty, hearing a thump, followed by a curse. I sit upright, wrapping my silk robe tighter around me. Considering our suite is surrounded by a team of protection officers, there's only one person it could be. And based on the fact it's after 2 a.m. and he seems to be running into every piece of furniture, Anderson's been drinking. He finally manages to stumble into the bedroom, eyes slits, hair disheveled. The stench of alcohol is strong, even from a few feet away. I want to remind him of the negative effects drinking can have on his MS. I don't want to spend the rest of our time in Paris fighting, though. Don't want that to be the memory I take away from this magical place. Not saying a word, he yanks his shirt over his head. When he attempts to kick off his shoes, he nearly topples over, grabbing onto the dresser. Steady once more, he refocuses on me. His lust-filled gaze causes an ache to stir deep within me. It shouldn't, not after the way we left things, but as he slides his jeans down his legs, revealing his rock-hard erection. My body betrays me, mouth growing dry, breathing becoming ragged. I part my lips, words on the tip of my tongue, words I can't bear to say, especially when I recall the utter despair that covered every inch of him earlier. He needs this, needs to know he's not the broken man he thinks he is. And I need this, too, need to know he won't let this come between us. I loosen the sash of my robe, allowing it to fall open in invitation. His eyes flame, the swirls of turquoise and sky blue becoming darker as he crawls onto the bed, spreading my legs. He brings his erection up to me, moving my slickness around before plunging inside. I cry out at the invasion. I'd anticipated it, but didn't expect it to be so rough, so desperate, so anguished. There's no other word to describe the way he buries his head in my neck and fucks me ruthlessly, each thrust more hopeless and frantic. I should put a stop to this, make him talk to me about what's going through his brain instead of fucking away his anger. But when he peers at me, his gaze begging me to take away the pain, I don't have it in me. I dig my hands through his hair, wrapping my legs around him, allowing him to take whatever he needs. I don't know what else to do to fix this. I wish there were a magic pill that would make his body strong again. Reverse the deterioration I've already witnessed in just the past year. But there isn't. I've seen him grow more tired and weary as he tries to balance the fate of the country on his shoulders against this debilitating disease that takes more and more from him with every breath. His pace quickens, each thrust furious and brutal. I scrape my nails along his back, and he arches. His carnal gaze spears me as he drives into me even faster. This isn't making love. This is fucking, pure and simple. He's not interested in pleasure right now, just to prove a point. Prove he can do this. Sweat beads on my brow, my breathing labored as I attempt to keep pace with him. Finally, a roar slices through the room and he jerks, eyes scrunched closed, his orgasm coming hard and fast. He rides the waves until he physically can't keep himself propped up any longer and collapses on top of me. His heart hammers against my chest, muscles trembling as he sucks in breath after breath. I run a light hand up and down his sweaty back, hoping the calming motion will help him regain his faculties, snap him out of whatever trance he was in when he stepped into the hotel room. Then a cry rips from his chest, tortured and afflicted. It stops me cold, clawing through my soul and shredding my heart. Tears spill from my eyelids as I search for the words I need to tell him it will be okay. But I've come to realize we have two vastly different definitions of okay. His is being normal again. Mine is standing by his side no matter what. Will that be enough for him? Will I be enough for him? In the past few hours, I've witnessed him go through nearly all the stages of grief denial, anger, bargaining. There's no doubt he's in depression right now. All I can do is hope he makes an upward turn toward acceptance and doesn't fall deeper. Chapter 30. Nora. I stare at the Eiffel Tower as the sun heats my skin, the sounds and smells of Paris surrounding me. I hate to leave this place, not just because I fell in love with this city, but because I fear what awaits us back home. Since Friday night, Anderson hasn't been the same. On the surface, he seems like the Anderson I remember from our early days, flirtatious, endearing, a bit cocky, but I can tell it's all a way to make me think everything is the same. Whenever he gazes at me, turmoil swirls in his blue eyes. Whenever he kisses me, it's restrained and lacking. Whenever he tells me he loves me, the words are laden with reluctance. As much as I want to bring up the other night, I don't want to taint our time in Paris any more than it already has been. Don't want my memories of this city to be clouded with the fear that we've turned down a dark road neither of us will ever come back from. Don't want Paris to forever be associated with the beginning of our end. Then again, I could be overreacting. But every time I peer into Anderson's eyes, all I see is that same remorse-filled expression he wore during our final days together on Route 66. He'd known those were our last hours together, not because we were about to go our separate ways, but because he'd been keeping a secret from me, one that would shatter me into a million pieces. I can't help but feel like he's doing the same here, like he knows something horrible is about to happen and is protecting himself against the inevitable catastrophe. Are you ready? Anderson peeks his head out of the balcony doors. I take one last look at the Paris skyline, then nod, turning toward him. Of course. He places his hand on the small of my back as I step into the suite. We don't make it too far before the door flies open. Creed and Lieutenant Colonel Bridge hurrying inside, eyes wide with panic, "What's going on?" Anderson asks, his posture stiffening. "Your Highness." Bridge glances in my direction before returning his attention to Anderson. Something's happened. When he floats his gaze to mine yet again, I sense this has to do with me. But what could it be? I've done everything to follow the rules lately. The most risque thing I've done has been stripping and encouraging Anderson to photograph me nude. Oh God. My heart drops to the pit of my stomach. Did somebody see me? Maybe a photographer at a nearby hotel while he was checking one of his zoom lenses? It's a long shot. But if I've learned anything over the past few months, it's that nothing is impossible, especially where the paparazzi is concerned. I can explain. I step forward, frantic. It was purely some innocent fun. It's not the first time he's done it, but those photos are just for us. This isn't about any photos, ma'am, Bridge interrupts, shifting from foot to foot, clearly uncomfortable. Then what? It's your mother. Ma'am. What about my mother, I ask, voice shaking slightly. After 30 years of dealing with her, I doubt whatever he's about to tell me is happy news. He licks his lips. She was just interviewed on a popular morning show back in the States. My legs weaken. I gingerly lower myself into a nearby chair, dread balling tightly in my stomach. The focus of the interview was you, ma'am, me. I managed to squeak out through the thickness in my throat. Hey. I peek up as Anderson sits beside me, his eyes sincere. I'm sure she didn't say anything you have to worry about. On the contrary, sir. Bridge interrupts. There's a whole slew of photographers and reporters camped out in front of the hotel right now who believe otherwise. I'm guessing a hotel employee probably saw the interview trending on social media and decided to make a quick buck by selling your location. Fuck! Anderson hisses under his breath, pinching the bridge of his nose before lifting his steely gaze back to Bridge. Well, get on with it. What newsworthy gems did that sham of a shrink drop? I hope she's ready to be sued, because that's exactly what I'll do if she said one negative thing about Nora. I place my hand on his arm, trying to settle the fury I can feel radiating off him. The last thing I need is for him to have another flare-up. Since Friday night, he's been relatively okay, apart from an occasional finger twitch. Then again, he's barely touched me all weekend, as if worried he'll have a repeat of that night and would rather remain celibate than deal with the reality. Would rather resort to prescription drugs in order to have sex, like I surmise he did on Friday night, especially when I discovered a bottle of little blue pills on the bedroom floor, obviously having fallen out of his jeans. It's okay. I smile at him, then look at Bridge. What did she say? I square my shoulders, trying to appear calm. Despite the fear bubbling inside of me, my mother wouldn't go out of her way to espouse all my positive qualities. The only reason she'd do this interview was if she could publicly humiliate me, which is why I don't want her at my wedding. I should have realized she'd find a way to do that anyway. Perhaps it might be best if you show them, Creed suggests. That way, they'll get the full picture. Very well. Bridge pulls a laptop out of his briefcase and sets it on the coffee table in front of us. My nerves kick up when my eyes fall on Carly Hart, one of the most popular and well-liked morning talk show hosts. My mother's sitting in a lush chair beside her. Bridge hits the spacebar, and Carly's voice fills the room. Here in the US, we've all been wondering who exactly Nora Tremblay is, the woman who captured Prince Gabriel of Belmont's heart. Up until now, everyone we've spoken with has refused to give an interview, claiming to respect her privacy. But a few days ago, the future princess's own mother, Dr. Elaine Harcourt, finally agreed to give us an inside peek into the new American princess. I laugh to myself as I cross my arms over my chest. I guess she's back to her maiden name. Things with husband number 5 must not have worked out. Or maybe it was 6. Anderson gives my leg a reassuring squeeze. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Doctor, I understand you're extremely busy, so I appreciate you shifting your schedule around for us. As I discussed with your producers, I'm a psychiatrist. Normally, my patients come first and I'd only reschedule on them if it were of the utmost importance. but I felt it necessary to let the world know precisely who Nora Tremblay is, particularly the fine people of Belmont, particularly Prince Gabriel. Carly tilts her head. What makes you say that Nora appears to have charmed people all across the globe? They're calling her the new Princess Grace. You have to admit, she does resemble the actress. The first time I saw her photo, I had to do a double take. My mother grits a smile. Yes, she does. I can sense her aggravation over Carly's compliment, even from halfway around the world. It's been a sticking point with her for ages, at least since I hit puberty and people started paying more attention to me. Nora is quite beautiful. Unfortunately, she often uses that beauty to the detriment of others. How so? Perhaps it's my fault, but during Nora's formative years, I was a single mother. My husband, Nora's father, died on deployment. Carly covers her heart with her hand. Oh, I am so sorry. Thank you. My mother blinks back fake tears, her lower lip quivering. I must admit, it's quite the Oscar-worthy performance. I did the best I could at the time, but somewhere along the way, I guess I missed the signs. What signs are those? She peers into the distance for a beat before returning her attention to Carly. How on days she had a history test, she'd wear clothes that were slightly more revealing. I should have questioned how she could have possibly brought her C average up to an A in a matter of weeks, but I figured perhaps she buckled down. The following year, the same history teacher was dismissed for improper relations with a student. We were never told the exact details, but a mother just knows. I blink, my breaths coming deeper and more shallow. I can't wrap my head around the lengths this woman will go to in order to paint me in a negative light. I was the one who went to the principal on my own about the ongoing series of unwanted advances my teacher made on me. I was the one who had to prove that he purposefully downgraded my papers to trick me into attending private tutoring sessions with him. I was the one who had to stand up for myself when my own mother simply claimed I was overreacting, that a mature man of nearly 40 wouldn't want anything to do with an awkward 16-year-old like me. It started with her grades in high school, then college. She even cost me every single one of my husbands. I bark out a laugh, rolling my eyes at the ridiculousness of her assertion. Why would she do that? Carly asks. Like I said, I take full responsibility. She grew up without a strong male figure in the household. That always affects a child's development. Yes, her father's death was tragic, but somewhere along the way, Nora started seeing his death as abandonment. As such, she's always craved attention, and once Nora was able to gain it, she mastered the art of manipulation. How so simple? She always knew exactly what to do and say to get someone to do whatever she wanted. Hell, she manipulated me for years, made me believe she was the perfect, well-adjusted teenager, then young woman. That's how good she is. So what started as her manipulating her teachers in order to give her passing grades eventually turned into manipulating men for other things. Other things. A job, apartment, money. Carly considers my mother's story for a beat, then shifts through a few of the papers in her hand. I don't doubt you know your daughter better than anyone, but I have trouble reconciling your side of things with a story I was able to dig up from approximately 7 years ago. She slides her glasses onto her face. Your daughter almost died in a fatal car accident on Long Island, correct? She was in a fatal car accident. She was the only person to walk away, and her fiancé at the time, Hunter Copeland, did die. Yes, and Nora was 6 months pregnant, but lost the baby. Anderson grabs my hand in his, but it does nothing to comfort me. Nothing can right now, especially with the grave expression on both Creed's and Bridges' faces. I may not know either men well, but I can tell when something's about to go wrong. That everything my mother said up to this point was simply a warm-up. I suppose that's one way of looking at it. My mother replies, her tone pinched. What do you mean Hunter's family was quite affluent? I have no doubt she targeted him, just like she's now targeting Prince Gabriel. I find it curious that a week before Hunter was died in that crash, he took out a rather large life insurance policy. And guess who he named as the primary beneficiary? She grins smugly. He was your pregnant daughter's fiancé, Carly argues on my behalf. It's entirely reasonable to make sure your family's provided for in the event of a tragedy. I'm not disagreeing with that, my mother says sweetly, as passive-aggressive as ever. And perhaps it was innocent, but my daughter never displayed any desire to settle down and get married. Then she's suddenly engaged and about to have a kid. She shakes her head. I struggle to believe the girl who had complete disregard for everyone in her life had a change of heart overnight. So, what is it you're suggesting? Carly presses. I don't know. All I do know is that when I learned about the accident, I couldn't shake this feeling in my gut. The car erupted in flames, but Nora just so happened to be able to get out. I saw photos of the aftermath. The car was practically incinerated, not to mention it hit a tree off the embankment with a force no one would be able to walk away from, not without help. Yet the police were never able to corroborate Nora's statement that a good Samaritan had pulled her to safety. It's just suspicious. So is it your contention that Nora killed her former fiancé, then somehow terminated her pregnancy when she was 6 months along, all to collect a substantial life insurance policy? I'm simply saying it's suspicious. That's all, she responds, evasive as always. My producer discussed with you the potential ramifications for defamation. Correct. Yes. And like I reminded him, since Nora can now be considered a public figure, to succeed in any suit, she'd have to not only prove this is all a fabrication, which it's not, but that I also acted with malice. That's not my intention here. It's simply to share the truth about the woman who's manipulated her way into being days away from marrying one of the most powerful men in all of Europe. I'm more than aware that, after a thorough investigation, the police ruled out foul play. And perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps it did unfold as Nora claimed, but unfortunately, I've never been able to believe much of what she said. If I didn't come forward and something horrible were to happen to her current fiancé, well, I'd never forgive myself. I want to warn him personally, but I have no doubt Nora's tricked him into believing the worst of me, which is why I felt it important to come on this show, to warn him and the entire royal family about the woman he's about to marry. Bridge hits the spacebar, pausing the video, then closes the laptop. I think you get the gist of it, he says solemnly. I blink, processing everything my mother just said on national TV, my stomach churning. She inferred I killed Hunter. And our baby. How could she do such a thing? Why? Because that's who she is. Everything she claims about me could be said about her. She's the manipulative one. I'm the one who couldn't bring boyfriends home because she'd hit on them. I'm the one who had to move from town to town every time my mother's latest husband realized just how warped and twisted of a person she was. I'm the one who suffered her wrath whenever she noticed one of her boyfriends looking at me in a way she didn't like. Yet I'm manipulative, Nora. Love. Anderson's voice cuts through. Talk to me. I can't look at him. I'm numb. Sick. So fucking tired of getting close to having it all, only for that woman to take it away from me in a perverted game. Not saying a word, I stand, practicing a few calming breathing techniques as I walk across the living room. The heat of everyone's stares prickles my skin, but I don't glance back or offer an explanation. I couldn't give them one right now anyway, not without screaming, keeping my head held high and spine straight. As I was instructed in my etiquette classes, I make my way into the bathroom, neither walking too fast nor too slow. I shut the door behind me and turn the lock, the click echoing in the vast space. Then I stride toward the double vanity and lean my hands on the counter, hanging my head. I inhale a deep breath and close my eyes, trying to quiet the rage bubbling to the surface after years of keeping it buried deep within me. I learned early on that my emotions were another thing for my mother to exploit, that it was best to lock it all inside. But what's the point when she'll find another way to get her revenge? To keep me trapped. Muscles tightening and jaw hardening. I bring my gaze up to the mirror and study my appearance with the same scrutiny my mother always seemed to. Eyes that are a few sizes too big for my face. A nose that's a bit too pointed and could benefit from reconstructive surgery. Cheeks that, despite the passing of years, are still cherub-like. Heart-shaped lips that should be a tiny bit plumper. For years, I listened to her call me too fat, too skinny, too plain, too boring, too uptight, too carefree. All I wanted was to rid her from my life, to forget about all the ways she's tormented me, everything I did either too good or not good enough, my body shaking more violently the more I recall everything that woman put me through. I scream, unable to stand my reflection, all my imperfections glaring at me. I grab the metal tissue box off the vanity and hurl it against the mirror, the glass shattering. A loud knocking thunders on the door, followed by someone trying the handle, but I ignore it, screaming again as I take off one heel, then another, throwing them at the mirror, more glass falling to the floor. I step on the shards in search of something else to throw, the pain on my feet a welcome distraction to the storm brewing within me. I grab the hairdryer and toss it, followed by the soap dish, Anderson begging for me to let him in. I continue throwing everything I can find: shampoo bottles, vase with flowers, and even a few towels. When there's nothing left, I allow my tears to overtake me as I lean against the wall and slump to the floor, hugging my legs to my chest, blood covering my feet. The door flies open, and Creed barrels inside, frantically scanning the room. But his worry is no match for Anderson's. Glass crunches beneath his shoes as he hurries toward me and crouches down, pulling me into his arms, my sobs echoing in the sudden silence. "It's okay," he soothes, kissing my temple. "It'll all be okay. She won't get away with this." I wish I could believe him, but she already has. The truth is irrelevant. In the court of public opinion, I've already been judged guilty. Nothing anyone says or does will change the verdict. Chapter 31. Anderson. "Are you sure you'll be okay?" I ask Nora as we stand in front of my residence. The dark SUV that drove us from the airfield idles behind us, waiting for me to get back into it. She lifts her eyes to mine, but they're as empty as they've been all afternoon. All signs of life gone. I'd never seen Nora as broken as when Creed burst through the bathroom door and my gaze fell on her defeated frame. Her feet cut up, glass everywhere. From the beginning, she had a habit of hiding behind a mask of perfectly groomed hair and impeccably applied makeup. But I was able to see it for what it was: a cry for help, a silent plea for someone to finally set her free. And not just from her sorrow over losing Hunter and her baby, but also from her mother's torment. Now I can't help but think I dragged her back into the darkness, forced her into this life where she lost another piece of who she was daily, until it got to be too much and she snapped. Thankfully, we were able to get out of the hotel without incident, the French police dispersing the assembled paparazzi almost as soon as they showed up. During the short, tension-filled flight back to Belmont, I'd grown hopeful it would all blow over, that the people here wouldn't buy into the lies, that they'd focus on the woman who captured their hearts these past few months, who joined in on a nationwide search for a missing child, tromping through fields alongside a volunteer group looking for any clue as to her whereabouts, who donned a baseball hat and sunglasses to serve meals at a soup kitchen when she saw they were desperate for help. Something no one in the royal family would ever do, except for Esme and myself, who spent hours trying to respond to every letter she received, not wanting anybody to think their messages fell on deaf ears. But when our plane landed to a swarm of media and outraged locals, I knew that wasn't the case. It didn't matter the OB who delivered Ember gave an interview painting Nora in a vastly different light, claiming she'd never seen a patient so distraught. It didn't matter. The local police chief where the accident happened also made a statement that there was no physical evidence to support Dr. Harcourt's inferences regarding foul play. It didn't matter that Hunter's parents also made a statement in support of Nora's strong character and sympathetic nature. The die's already been cast. Nora's mother gave everyone a sensational story. In the court of social media, the people are the judge, jury, and executioner. The truth is completely irrelevant. If I thought Nora was broken before, having to drive through a city entrenched in protests, people holding signs calling her a murderer, gold digger, and baby killer, destroyed her last remnant of life. The last thing I want is to leave her in such a fragile state, but I don't have a choice. Not after being summoned to the palace. "I'll be fine," she says, her voice defeated. She lowers her head as she turns from me, her steps sluggish. I pull my lips between my teeth, rubbing the back of my neck. I hate this. Hate watching her break down. Hate I can't stay to comfort her. What good would it do? Though I fear our fate has already been decided. "Oh, Kelly," I bark out at Nora's chief protection officer as he starts to follow her into the house. He pauses, glancing at me. I walk toward him and lean in, dropping my voice to barely a whisper. "Do not let her out of your sight." "Got it." He nods. "Yes, sir. I mean it. Killian." Not for so much as a heartbeat. I hold his gaze, hoping he picks up on the importance of my request. When he nods once more in understanding, I turn, sliding back into the SUV. Creed doesn't utter a single word during the drive to the palace, simply studies me every so often through the rearview mirror. I'm grateful for it. I'm not sure what I'd say to him even if he asked how I'm holding up. I have no fucking clue. This interview came out of left field, leaving all of us unprepared. Although I shouldn't have been. Should have known this woman wouldn't sit back and allow Nora to be happy. She's now succeeded in doing what she's tried to do for years, breaking Nora to the point where I barely recognize her. As we approach the front gates of the palace, I keep my eyes trained forward in an attempt to ignore all the protesters assembled outside. I'd give anything to admonish each and every one of them. Remind them how, mere hours ago, they adored Nora, how quickly the tides turn. They have fresh meat for the slaughter, and they're more than happy to roast Nora on a spit. During my schooling, I was often fascinated by the Salem witch trials, how it was possible for mass hysteria to spread so quickly, a sham of a trial being the only thing standing between the accused and a date with the gallows. Now I understand. It has nothing to do with who's right. All that matters is who has the loudest voice, and the mob outside the palace gates is deafening. When Creed pulls the SUV to a stop in front of the entrance, I glance up at the building, my stomach roiling. My hand twitches, head throbs. I squeeze my eyes closed, pinching the bridge of my nose. "You okay?" Creed asks. "Fucking peachy." I snip out as one of the palace valets opens my door. I slide out and button my suit jacket, about to walk up the steps when I pause, popping my head back into the car. "Listen, mate, I'm sorry. It's fine. It's been a trying day. Just don't forget what's important to you, what you fought so hard for." It's like he can read my mind, like he knows the war I've been waging these past few days. I haven't, I tell him. Good. I turn and follow my father's private secretary toward the executive wing of the palace. This is all distressingly similar to when Nora and I first landed in Belmont a few weeks ago, but I have a feeling the outcome this time won't be as positive. When we reach the same conference room, Colonel Winters knocks once, then opens the door. Stepping inside, His Royal Highness Prince Gabriel, he announces, then moves to the side. I'd expected to be greeted by my father, the head of household, Dalton Peel, and my grandmother. As is typically the case whenever something like this happens, I didn't expect to walk in to see all the members of the Privy Council assembled around the conference table, my father at the head. "Your Highness," They all murmur as they stand and bow. I nod in acknowledgement, then look back at my father, bowing, Your Majesty. Gabriel. My father bows toward me, then gestures at the chair at the opposite end of the table. Have a seat. I make my way through the room. With every step I take, the knot in my stomach grows tighter. Things must be bad if the entire Privy Council is here. I have no doubt I'm not going to like what my father has to say. I sit, back straight, steeling myself for the proverbial bloodbath that's about to ensue. I assume you know why I called you here today, he says, as if I had any question. I do. Then you're already aware that the interview has had quite a disastrous effect, and not just on Nora, but also you. Hell, on the entire monarchy. There's no other way to put it. This is a bloody catastrophe. It was all a lie. I remind him, my jaw tight. Every single word that woman spoke was a fabrication. I narrow my gaze on him. And you know that. What I know is irrelevant. He waves a hand, as if it will relieve him of any liability. What's important right now is that this story, whether true or a fabrication, is out there, is being eaten up by the tabloids. Unfortunately, we no longer live in an age of responsible journalism, where reporters are respected and revered for giving people the truth. The truth doesn't matter. In this day of clickbait and social media, all that matters is what's sensational. And Dr. Harcourt just gave the world a story that's prime gossip fodder. He squares his shoulders, swallowing hard. I know this expression. No, I won't like whatever follows. It's the same look he wore when he called Esme and me into the library at our family home in the country and told us our uncle had died. As did our cousins, that we would have to move to the capital city of Montrose, that I'd be shipped off to boarding school in London, that I would one day be king. But instead of manning up to the new responsibilities placed on me as the future monarch, I reacted like an 8-year-old boy. I cried, screamed, shouted. I knew it wouldn't change anything, though, knew the wheels had already been set in motion, and I had no choice but to accept it. Just like I fear is happening now, too. Right now, our best course of action is to come up with a plan to... He glances to his right where Dalton Peel sits. Save face. My father finishes. Save face, I repeat in disbelief. It was a fool's wish to think I'd come to my father's office and learn he and the royal household would stand behind Nora. A part of me had hoped that would be the case, that my father would stop taking the council members' advice simply because that's the way things have always been done. I've seen firsthand what can happen when you stop doing that. The people of this country fell in love with the idea of Nora and me as a couple because, instead of appearing out of reach and untouchable, we became relatable. But as the saying goes, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. My father has never truly felt comfortable in his role as king, having been thrust into it unexpectedly. As such, he continues to allow his council and the royal household to control most of his decisions, including this one. Why would we need to save face when Nora did nothing wrong, I argue? When that woman went on national news to spread lies. Rest assured, I will be pursuing legal action against her. A lawsuit will take years, Dalton reminds me. Threatening legal action is like putting a band-aid over a gunshot wound. It won't fix the underlying problem. It will only become more and more infected until it destroys you from the inside out. If a person has an infection in a leg that could kill him, the doctor doesn't put a bandage on it and hope for the best. You want to know what he does? What's that? He leans across the table, eyes narrowed slits like the snake he is. He amputates the leg. So that's what we need to do. Amputate the leg. Rid us of this infection. Infection, I grind out. After the interview this morning, the publicity team conducted some preliminary polling. Dalton stands from his chair and makes his way toward me, placing a folder in front of me. I reluctantly open it, charts and numbers staring back at me. By now, I'm accustomed to this sort of thing. All of my life's big decisions have been reduced to bar graphs and statistical probabilities. As you can see, the most favorable outcome for the monarchy remaining as it is would be if the royal family, yourself especially, were to distance itself from Ms. Tremblay. Bile rises in my throat as I flip through the pages. A half-dozen different scenarios presented, ranging from continuing on as if nothing happened to doing what Dalton suggested, walking away from Nora. It was an easier idea to wrap my head around when I contemplated doing just that in order to save her from being saddled with a lifetime of being married to a man who may one day lose the ability to walk, to control his bladder, to make love to her. It's harder to consider when I'm being ordered to end things. Most of the interview was speculation, no concrete evidence. I remind them, grasping at straws. The preliminary research indicates that a large majority of our representative sample believed Dr. Harcourt made a compelling case. One of the Privy Council members replies, especially when she'd mentioned Nora had somehow miraculously walked away from that car wreck with barely a scratch. Unfortunately for us, photos from the accident report were leaked and are currently circulating on social media. Dalton adds, everyone's offering their opinion, regardless of their knowledge about this topic. It doesn't look good for Nora or the monarchy. I run a hand over my face, shaking my head as my shoulders slump, sitting in a way that's incredibly unbecoming of a future monarch. She was in that car, so you say, but according to records we obtained, she lived nearby. Her fiancé's parents also lived in the general vicinity. It's not a huge leap to assume she knew the area well. And do you want to know what I learned after doing minimal research? I don't respond, knowing he'll tell me regardless. That the curve where their car was allegedly run off the road is a common area for drivers to lose control of their vehicles and go over the edge. So much so that there were yearly petitions to put in a guardrail. The town had recently granted the request and were slated to begin installation the following week. Another suspicious coincidence. When the police interviewed her in the hospital, she claimed to have been pulled from the wreck by a Good Samaritan. Yet even after her fiancé's family offered a reward of over $10,000 for information as to who it was, no one came forward. Maybe the Good Samaritan had no need for the money. I say through a clenched jaw, Gabriel. My father warns. Eyes narrowed. But even if we somehow are able to track down this alleged Good Samaritan, Dalton continues, our polling shows it won't matter. There is no scenario in which you'll be able to save the monarchy and have the girl, too. It's one or the other. I close my eyes, trying to use some of the breathing techniques Nora taught me to calm myself down, prevent myself from doing something I'll regret. With every word Dalton speaks, it becomes more and more difficult. The local police chief already made a statement dismissing any claims of foul play. The people don't care about that. That's akin to the editor of a newspaper issuing a retraction on page 15 a week after publishing a shocking front-page story. And that's precisely what this is, a sensationalized story, the stuff tabloids are made of. The only thing that can compete with it is if the truth is even more sensational, even more headline-worthy, which it's not. So the best course. It was me, I shout, jumping from my chair, chest heaving, fists clenched. Excuse me, Dalton asks. Me, I repeat. It was me. He studies me for a moment, then smiles, shaking his head. I see what you're doing. You think you can fix this by coming forward with some romantic tale about how you pulled her from the wreck. Make people forget her mother's version insinuating Ms. Tremblay planned it. No, that's not it at all. Although I did pull her from the wreck. If you were thorough with your research, weren't giddy with excitement over the prospect of finally getting rid of Nora, you would have noticed the date of the wreck. He blinks, shifting through some papers, pulling out what I recognize to be a police report. It's the same night Kendall Davies passed away. I tell him, at a hospital in Long Island, Gabriel. My father cautions again. This time, it feels more out of obligation, as if he knows there's no stopping this runaway train. I don't. Dalton begins. I'm the reason they crashed in the first place. I point to myself. I caused the wreck. I forced them off the road. My voice wavers as a half-dozen eyes stare at me in utter shock. I killed Nora's fiancé and their unborn